sunrise in my eyes. My rock's sweeter, meet the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why. I've been toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter. I've been toasting all my life.
Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Megan, and I'm going to be your host tonight as we watch the world's smallest penguin, our little penguins, coming out of the water, crossing the beach, and heading back to their burrows here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. And we do have an extra special night tonight. We do have a special guest who will be joining us in a couple of minutes, but I'm also joined by Sue. Sue, come on in and tell us what you'll be doing tonight.
Oh, where am I? Hello everyone. It's lovely to be back here again tonight with you guys and joining Megan as well. So I'll be reading through your questions tonight and hopefully we'll be able to answer a few of them as we go along the way. I'll be passing them across to Megan and our special guest this evening. Have fun.
Great, thank you, Sue. So as Sue said, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, send through all of your questions tonight. Sue will be finding the best, the trickiest, the most hard-hitting questions to ask myself and our special guest. So send through any questions you might have. We do have a ranger who will be going through the questions on Facebook and endeavouring to get back to some of those questions. So send through anything that you want to know tonight, and we'll do our best to get back to you. Now, I would like to start tonight by saying Mormjika to Milau, which means welcome to Phillip Island in the language of the Bunurong. And the Bunurong were the first people here on Phillip Island, and they've been coming here for thousands of years, caring for this beautiful country that we are on tonight. They would come here in spring and summer to feed on our beautiful shearwater birds we might see tonight, and took good care of the country we are on. So I would like to acknowledge the Bunurong and their elders past, present and emerging as the traditional custodians of the land that we are on tonight. And we are of course here to see our little penguins who have already started coming in. And we are also here to talk to our special guest tonight. So we do have Brandan Zerafa who will be joining us, and he is our Field Services Officer here at Phillip Island Nature Parks. So I'm going to get Brandan up onto the screen. Hello Brandan, welcome.
G'day, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hey Megan.
Hello, welcome to Live Penguin TV, Brandan. So your role here at the Nature Parks is a Field Services Officer. So I think a lot of us probably haven't heard of that and what that is. So what is your role here?
Yeah, so here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, as you said, I am the Field Services Officer. And what this means is, if you can imagine our organisation, I sit under the Conservation Department within the team of rangers. And as the name suggests, about 80 to 90% of my job is field-based work. So you can imagine I go out and I do field work. Now, this field work can be a variety of different things. It's mainly weed focused, but also revegetation. And along the way, I do get asked to do other jobs. So occasionally I might be asked to help out with fire management. So I might need to jump on a chainsaw. I might need to jump on a chipper to develop fire breaks coming up to our fire season. Or I might get asked to assist with koala husbandry, so feeding the koalas in a day, or even coordinating volunteers and showing them what it's like to be a ranger for the day. So it's really, really cool. Overall, I guess you could say what a field services officer does is that we help to maintain and enhance the natural environment through fieldwork for our wildlife.
Wow. So Brandan, you sound like a bit of a jack of all trades. You do a lot of different things. Do you often work out here in our penguin habitat?
I do get to go into the habitat, and I do a lot of weed control out at the Penguin Parade and on the Summerlands Peninsula where the penguins live.
Beautiful. So you're helping look after these guys' beautiful habitat. And we have a few little penguins that have snuck in early. We're watching on the screen here. And there's also a goose behind them. Have you had any run-ins with geese while you're out in the field?
I have definitely had run-ins with geese. I have. And I'll tell you what, you don't want to mess with a goose that's got chicks. They are pretty scary.
Yes, we've definitely seen that here on the live stream as well with the geese not wanting to let our penguins pass. They're definitely very, very protective.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Brandan, Field Services Officer, how did you get into doing that? How did you come to be here at the Nature Parks in the role that you're in at the moment?
Yeah, so before I started here at Nature Parks, I went to university and I did a bachelor degree of environmental science. Now, while I was doing environmental science at uni, what I actually started to do is I started to volunteer in a lot of different places. I volunteered in sanctuaries, And one of the places I kept finding myself coming back to was Phillip Island Nature Parks. And here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, as a volunteer, I did a lot of different things. So I did bandicoot and wallaby tracking. I've done beach cleans. I've also done vegetation surveys, as well as weed control, all as a volunteer. So there's a lot of stuff you can do as a volunteer here at Nature Parks, and that's how I got into the organisation. I started as a vol.
Wow, sounds like you knew a lot about the nature parks before you even came to work here, and it is a beautiful place to work. What's your favourite volunteering role that you've had here?
So I've had quite a few different roles, as I've just suggested, but I think my favourite is probably beach cleaning. I think with beach cleaning and working by the coast, seeing firsthand the impact that plastic pollution can have upon wildlife and being able to reduce that, that's one of my favourite parts. The other thing is about beach cleaning is you can actually do it with your friends. You can go out and you can go clean the beaches. And Megan, you are actually the person that I go out and clean the beach with.
I know, so, lucky you. I should have said when I introduced Brandy that he's also one of my good friends. So we do a lot of this volunteering together. And Brandon, we do have to organise our beach clean for this month.
We do, we definitely do.
And what do you reckon is probably one of the weirdest things we've found out on the beach? I know there's been a few weird ones.
We have found some crazy stuff out on the beaches, particularly one of our local beaches, Berries Beach. There's been some really interesting stuff we've come across. We've come across toilet seats that have washed up from the ocean. A toilet seat. We've found like drums of like random things that must have fallen off a boat. But most of the time what we find is little bits of plastic, and unfortunately those bits of plastic aren't great for our marine wildlife, so it's really nice for us to go out and we can actually take that off the beach and hopefully reduce our impact on the climate.
We've definitely spent hours sitting in the sand sifting through, picking up those tiny little plastics that you don't even really notice that they're there.
Yeah.
And Brandon, how did you get started here at the Nature Park? So I know you started with volunteering, and that was a really important part of how you came to work here. But where did you start off? What was your first role at the Nature Parks?
So my first role here at Phillip Island Nature Parks was actually at the penguin parade. So I was one of the penguin rangers. I worked out on the boardwalks. I worked out managing the stands in the car parks, taking people on tours and teaching them all about the penguins. And that was lots of fun. And once again, that's actually where I met Megos. So that's really cool, Yeah,
we started together. We were in the same intake here at the Penguin Parade. So we've both been here at the Nature Parks for just over 4 years now. Gosh, that time has flown.
I know, hasn't it?
And Brandon, when you were here at the parade, one of your roles was counting the penguins.
Yes.
Now, I want you to have a guess for me. How many penguins do you think we had coming in last night? You haven't looked at the numbers, have you?
I might have.
Oh, do you remember?
But I'll still take a guess.
Okay.
I think last night, it was around about 1,500. I could be wrong. I don't have a very good memory, but it could be.
Oh, I think you might be close.
I have a feeling we might get a little bit more tonight. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Sue, do you have the number? How many penguins did we have last night?
Brandon, well done, but it was 1,436.
Oh,
1,436 for those playing at home. Oh, and we're starting to see some really chunky penguins coming in. So I might switch over to the highway camera for a second. Oh my gosh, look at that penguin on the left. He's gigantic. Oh, I'll go back to the main camera. I'll keep an eye out for those chunky penguins. Now, Brandon, being the parade ranger that you were, can you tell us a bit about what these chunky penguins are doing? Why are they so chunky?
Okay, so there could be two reasons why these penguins are so chunky.
I can only think of one reason.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing the other one.
The first reason is sometimes we do have penguins. They are a little bit bigger than normal because they're coming home with big bellies full of fish to feed their babies. But the main reason why these penguins are so big is because about once a year, they have to go through what is called a catastrophic molt. Now, the catastrophic molt is really, really cool. Unlike other bird species, they actually have to lose all their feathers at once. And what that means is they're no longer waterproof during that time. So before they come up onto land, for roughly around about 17 days, a few weeks, they come onto land, and what they do is they lose all these feathers. Now, beforehand, they have to double their size because you can imagine they can't go in the water to feed. So they have to last a really, really long time on land. And it's really, really funny. It's probably my favourite time of the year to come to the penguin parade because we've got grumpy, we've got fluffy, hungry penguins, and they're so funny to watch.
I'd certainly say the same. Oh, and look, we have some more coming on the highway camera. Oh, and that's a real chunky penguin there. And I am saying chunky rather than fat because I wouldn't want to insult these little penguins because they are actually little bodybuilders. It's not fat, it is all muscle. So that is very impressive. And I'm with you, Brandan. I love watching these molting penguins because they're so grumpy. They're hungry, they're itchy, they don't want to be here. So they are just hilarious to watch. And I think this is probably the first time we're seeing multi penguins on the stream, as well as last night, because last time we left you guys, we were in the breeding season. And we still have lots of those fluffy little chicks running around, but now we do have these big fat molting penguins as well, which I just love. Do you have a favourite thing about the penguins, Brandan? What was your favourite thing about working here at the Penguin Parade with our little penguins?
I think my favourite thing about working at the Penguin Parade when I used to work back there was probably that each penguin kind of has their own little personality. Like they're so individual, they've all got their own little characteristics, and it's super exciting to go stand on the boardwalks and just watch them walk past each other, watch their interactions, watch their behaviour. Now, like sometimes I would sit there and I would put like little voices to the penguins and imagine what they were saying to each other, and I'd like make up stories about what was going on in their family on their way home. So really, really cool, and that's probably my favourite part of working there.
I love that. And you know, since you've said that, Brandan, if I zoomed in on some penguins, could you tell us what they're saying right now?
I can give it a crack.
Let's zoom in on these guys here.
Oh no.
What do you reckon? Oh, look at this one shaking. What are these guys on the rocks doing? What do you think they'd be saying to each other?
I think they're kind of saying like, oh, that was a really big day out at work, you know. I've been fishing all day long, you know, I need a bit of a rest, but I still got to walk the whole way home. You know?
Oh.
Exhausting.
Yeah, I bet that those penguins that live right here near the beach are like, oh, yeah, mate, I just live right there. And the ones that live far away are like, oh,
exactly.
Why do I live so far?
Exactly.
What am I doing?
Those penguins with the burrows have got ocean views and they're so lucky. I'd want to be one of those penguins, I think.
With the ocean views? You don't want the easy walk home?
Oh, I want the ocean views, I think. Yeah, for sure.
You must get a lot of beautiful ocean views when you're working out in the field. Do you have a favourite place on Phillip Island to go out and manage weeds and do your plantings?
Yeah, so I think one of my favourite parts of actually being the field services officer is the fact that we do get to work across such a dynamic variety of habitat types of EVCs or ecological vegetation classes. Now, this is really, really cool because you can imagine in a single day, I might be doing a variety of different jobs, and I might start my morning, I might be out in a coastal Banksia woodland, and you know, really, really cool. I might be lucky, I might see some woodland birds, and then that afternoon, I might get to go to a bird succulent herbland where I'm surrounded by burrowing penguins, and you know, if I'm lucky, whale season, maybe I might see a whale breach. So that's probably my favourite part of being a field services officer. And I think probably the Summerlands Peninsula, so the area where the penguins live, I think that's probably my favourite place to do the work that I do, because I am surrounded by 360-degree views of the ocean. I am surrounded by wildlife, and it's right there in front of me, and I know that I'm giving it a positive impact.
Yeah, oh, that's lovely. It is a beautiful place out there. And when you're walking through the vegetation during the day, you're walking through penguin habitat, do you hear the penguins ever yelling at you, reminding you that they're there?
Definitely. So they definitely make some ripper noises at you to tell you, like, you know, I'm here, stay away, this is my burrow, don't come near me.
Yeah. And what might that sound like, Brandan?
What might that sound like?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give it a crack. So
pretty good. Bit of
definitely. Are you sure you're not hiding out in one of the burrows?
That might be me.
What's going
Following
on?
behind the bushes. keeping an eye on you. No, that's just testament to how much time I spent out with the penguins yelling at me, not being too happy that I'm there.
I do have a question for you, actually, Megan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I know you can do a ripper penguin noise, but can you do a goose noise?
A goose noise. That noise that will strike fear into your heart when you're walking around the peninsula. It's a bit of a and they do the head nod. You got to do the head nod.
They do.
Yeah.
They do the head nod. Yeah. It's kind of like a.
Love it. You clearly spent a lot of time out in the field with our wildlife. And also up on the Summerland Peninsula is quite a unique place because it's not just penguin habitat, it was a housing estate. So we probably talked about this a bit on the stream, that there were 183 houses up there in our penguins' homes. People were living with penguins, trying to nest under their houses, trying to fall asleep to the noise of penguins. I don't know how they ever did that, but it was having a huge impact on our penguins and their numbers. So all those houses have now since been bought back. And when you're walking through the housing estate, do you see remnants of those old houses? Do you ever get a bit of a time capsule to see what used to be there?
Yeah, 100%. With, the removal of houses, there's going to be definite footprints of where houses may have been. And you come across some very unusual stuff out in the field when you are doing field work out there.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, so I've come across, definitely tiles for like walls and kitchen tiles and bathroom tiles. I find them all over the place. A couple of times we've found gnomes out there. So I'm assuming that's from people's gardens. They've left their gnome as their house has moved. Yeah.
Wow. And I know there was one day you were out in the field and sent me a picture and you were like, what is this plant? And I think Brandan should know all the weeds because that's your job. But I do a bit of gardening at home, growing some of my own veggies. And do you remember what it was that you found?
I do. So I was out there and I'm like, I've never seen this weed before. And it was.
Oh, sorry, we have a bandicoot on the highway camera.
Oh, do we?
Oh, let me quickly try to go over. There he is. Oh, our little eastern bar bandicoot. Sorry to interrupt you, Brandan, but
no, that's fine.
We always get super excited when we see a bandicoot on the live stream.
I missed it, unfortunately.
Oh, can you see it? It's still on the camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you go on. I'm going to keep the camera on the bandicoot.
Oh, yeah. So, I was out in the field. I came across this weed. It was very, very tall. It had a big purple flower on it. It would have been about 8 foot tall or so. It was definitely taller than I was. And I was very confused what it was. So what I did was I pulled it out of the ground to take a sample to see what it was. And I was a little bit shocked because it was actually someone's remnants of a house where they had some sort of veggie patch, and it was a garlic patch growing. And I was like, what is going on? There's garlic.
That's so strange. Yeah.
It was so strange.
The things I bet you would find out there in that old housing estate. And there you go, you know where to get garlic if you...
Exactly. If I ever, at lunchtime, if I ever need some seasoning for my lunch, I can just go out to that spot and grab some garlic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, and this little bandicoot is spending so long in front of the camera. And for those of you that might not have seen a bandicoot before, this is an eastern barred bandicoot. And these guys were almost extinct in the wild here on the Australian mainland. So that's why we get super excited when we see them. And these guys, during the day when you're out there, Branny, they'll be out in their little nests, just in the grass, hiding. Have you ever given any a little fright and had a bandicoot run out at you when you've been out in the field?
No, I'm very lucky I haven't accidentally frightened any of the bandicoots. But I do. One of the things I do miss most about working at the parade actually is being out at night time and getting to see the bandicoots, because they're one of my favourite. They're absolutely cool to see. And if you ever visit us, make sure you keep a sharp eye out for bandicoots because they are so cool. They're
super cute, aren't they? And we're seeing them more and more. I think the last estimate I heard is now we have around 300 bandicoots here on the Summerland Peninsula. So I go back to the main camera now. And while I'm seeing what these penguins are up to down here, Sue, do we have any questions for Branny?
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone wants to know a bit more about him and what he does.
Well, we know that the beach clean is part of is your favourite volunteering part of the job, but Chris Eaton was wondering, do you have any... Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. I better say that one now.
That's all right. We can answer a couple
Does
questions.
Brandon have any poo stories? Penguin poo stories?
Oh,
Okay, so
we know our viewers love a poo story,
Yeah.
Brandon.
okay, I don't have any penguin poo stories, but I feel like I can top this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Bring it
So,
on, Brandon.
There was a time where I shaved my head and I had this beautiful shiny bald egg head. It was shiny and it was great,
Yeah.
it was fresh, and I was really about this bald head. Anyway, I was actually feeding koalas, and I came in. I had my browse. We call it browse. It's eucalyptus leaves that we use to feed the koalas, and I brought the browse in, and then I just felt this warmth, wetness dripping down my bald head, and I was actually getting weed on by a koala. So I don't have any poo stories for you, but I do have a koala wee story.
That is a pretty good story, and I have seen a koala wee. It hasn't weed on me, but it actually smells pretty good, doesn't it? It smells like eucalyptus.
It's very, very strong eucalyptus smelling, very, very strong. You don't even have to be that close, and you can definitely smell it. It's got a very strong smell.
Wow, and you had that right on your head.
I had it on my bald.
Wow. So, Brandy, do you get to work often out with the koalas, and what are some of the main things you do out there with the koalas?
Yeah, so I do occasionally assist with the koalas, and the main thing that I do is animal husbandry. So this is a combination of looking after the animals by doing feeding, so feeding the animals, as well as cleaning up after them and making sure our hygiene practices are really, really good. Now, you can imagine feeding the koalas sounds like a lot of fun, and like it has its moments where it is amazing and really, really rewarding, but it is a very physical job. Like, I was shocked when I first started doing this, how much lugging and lifting and how exhausted I would come home, because these koalas eat so much. They do.
How many leaves do you think, how many grams of leaves does a koala eat in a day?
So they roughly eat about 100 leaves a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
so,
a lot of leaves.
Yeah. So it's a lot of leaves. How much that is in grams?
Is it about 500 grams, or am I making that up?
I feel like it might have been 250 to 500 grams. Yeah.
Wow. There you go. Our little penguins, they can bring home about 200 grams of food. So I guess it's actually not that much when you think of a little penguin who's a foot tall and a koala who's probably like 3 or 4 penguins tall.
Definitely.
So
how many apples tall is that, Megan?
It's
if
about
a penguin's 3 apples. How many
it's about
apples is
a koala's probably like 9 apples tall. Yeah.
We
That
can
is a
test
unit of measurement that we like to use. And Sue, do you have another question as
Yeah,
well?
I'll go back to the question.
Yeah, the
I was
question
gonna ask
from
before
Chris.
as well. So, Brandy, what's your favourite part of the job? Just the one thing you love doing in your job.
So the one thing I love doing. Honestly, I think it is having. It sounds really crazy, but I feel like having team days are like my favorite thing in the world. It's like a big team day out. It's organized so far in advance, and we all get in there and we all do a massive job together as one big team. And so to go in, do the work, come out with a really positive outcome at the end of it. Honestly, that's probably my favorite thing about being in the job.
And there was a lot of those during the last year when we were closed with COVID. We had a lot of our staff who were usually down here at the parade working out with our visitors, and when we were closed, you were working with a lot of those staff to revegetate and remove weeds. And how did you find that?
It was so much fun. It was so cool to see people like, for example, Megan, who's in a sort of visitor experience role, who runs tours, who interacts with people, also having other people who sell tickets, for example, and taking them out and actually getting them to experience firsthand what we do on ground to help look after the penguins, and not just the interpretation and tourism side behind it. So it's really, really cool to be able to have done that. That was really rewarding.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now that we're kind of going back to normal, we're getting more volunteers coming in doing that sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've been coordinating a lot of volunteers for our conservation department. I'm actually the volunteer liaison within the conservation department, so their first point of contact. And so if you do want to volunteer with the conservation team, you'll probably be interacting with me. We have a lot of days planned. A lot of it's going to be weed control, revegetation, and they're all starting to start back up. So it's super excited that we can actually get these people back on board. So I'm sure they're excited to be able to help out. A lot of uni students, for example, they've been really struggling with their placements. So it's really cool to be able to offer them now an opportunity to do that.
That's really exciting. And I haven't even mentioned before, but we are a self-funded non-for-profit organisation, so volunteers do make a huge difference in helping those add-ons and helping us to protect our wildlife and our beautiful habitats that you get to be out in, Branny, and also people who are now coming to see the penguins and coming to the koalas and all of those beautiful reserves that you look after so well. So if you can, we'd love to see you down here volunteering, but even just coming out and seeing the penguins or going to visit one of our other sites is helping contribute to the work that we do here. And if you can't come out and see us just yet, you can help by donating to the Penguin Foundation as well. So you can adopt a penguin or become a penguin pal. I think, Branny, you have one of the little stuffed penguins. Yeah. And you get to name a penguin. You can name a penguin Branny if you like. I think that's his dream.
Name one Branny.
And that's one way that you can help contribute to looking after our beautiful wildlife here. And Brandan, for anyone who might want to come work here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, who might want to get into weed control or revegetation or be a field services officer, what kind of tips or tricks would you give them?
Yeah, so my number one tip for anyone that wants to work as a field services officer, wants to work within the environment, whether that is doing field tasks, whether that's working in an office, whether it's doing environmental education, my number one tip is to volunteer. That's how I started out. It's so important to do because when you are studying, for example, you don't necessarily learn those practical skills that you're going to need as well as the theoretical side behind it. So sometimes by volunteering, you can learn something that you're not going to learn when you are studying. The other thing is you can meet people who are actually already in the job. And I tell you what, pick at their brains, ask them the hard questions, learn how they got into their position. That's one way to do it. So networking. Yeah, and as well, you make friends. That's, Megan and I, we volunteer, we're friends.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favourite parts of it is the socialising and, like you said, building connections. And even if you don't want a career in conservation, but it's something you're passionate about, it's something that you can get out and do and feel like you've made a difference. But if you're, say, in Melbourne or anywhere else in Australia or around the world and you want to help protect the wildlife, apart from donating to the Penguin Foundation or coming and visiting us, what's something that you can do, Branny, just from your own home to help protect our environment?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that you guys can do from home to help protect the environment. But one that sits closely with me being a field services officer is having to think about the different plants that you put within your garden. So one of the best things you can do is put Indigenous and native plants in your garden. It will encourage birds, it'll encourage bees, it'll encourage wildlife. It's good for them. And it also stops weeds escaping from your garden. So unfortunately, some people don't realise they see a really pretty plant, it's got lots of beautiful flowers on it, but that might be a really bad weed within bushland and within reserves. And they're called ornamentals or garden escapees. And what happens is they can actually have their seed or dispersed into bushland, and they can actually grow and cause issues for our wildlife. So one of the things I would suggest is planting native plants within your garden.
That's a great one, and you can get those locally, get plants that are local to your area or ones that are going to attract the wildlife, like you said. And is there any, I know I want to know this, Branny, is there any weeds that are either your favourite or your most hated weeds that are out there?
Definitely. Okay, so I think...
You sound excited about this one.
I think my favourite weed, and this is a controversial one, but I think my favourite weed would probably be boxthorn. Now, if you don't know what boxthorn is, It is a very big woody weed, so it's like a big giant shrub, and it has these horrendous spikes. Like they'll scratch up your arm, they'll get in your arm. They have tips on them that can cause infections. And I think I love box thorn because it's such a challenge. Like it is a challenge to get rid of it. It is so much fun to get rid of. I know a lot of people would disagree with me there, but
it sounds difficult.
It is difficult, but I do love box thorn. The one that I dislike the most, probably thistles.
And we do see a lot of those, unfortunately, in a penguin habitat.
They're such prolific seeders. They will disperse their seed around absolutely everywhere. They grow up in like so many different stages. So honestly, as someone who manages thistles, it just feels like a never-ending battle sometimes with them. They're quite intense.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like you have a diverse number of weeds and you have to try and deal with them all. I know that the one I'm trying to get rid of in my garden is at the moment is the agapanthus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
Your least favourite, Megan?
My least favourite. I don't think that I have a favourite.
You don't have a favourite?
No.
Okay.
So, Brandy, we don't have long left, and we've kind of gone over the main things, learning a bit about you and how anyone that wants to be like you can try and get into the role. I might see if we have any last questions from our viewers or our Wattle watchers. Anything else that they would like to know about Brandy before we sign off? Sue?
Okay. Well, I've got a question about the high tide, and is it very hard to count penguins when it's a high tide? And I know, Branny, you have also counted penguins in your time
at
the nature parks.
I have. I used to be the best penguin counter, I'm going to say it. I don't think I ever missed a penguin.
That's a big call, Branny.
I don't think I ever missed a penguin. I used to love counting the penguins. It was a lot of fun, and on a high tide it can be very difficult because what happens is the penguins, they will almost surf the waves in, so they'll ride them in and then they will jump straight onto the rocks. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell from the images, but those rocks are a very similar colour to the colour of those blue feathers that the penguins have, and it actually helps them to camouflage. So it's almost like the penguin jumps out and then it just camouflages straight away. So it can be very, very difficult on those super high tides.
That sounds very challenging. And Branny, now we're getting towards the end of the stream. I want you to have a guess as to how many penguins you think are going to have come in tonight. And anyone watching, put in the comments on Facebook, have a guess as to how many penguins you think have come in tonight. And we'll let you know tomorrow night how many there are. What's your guess, Branny?
All right. Well,
as an expert penguin counter,
I'm going to say approximately 2,472.
Make sure you write that one down, and we'll let you know if you're close tomorrow night. So I think we're pretty much out of time for tonight. So I do want to thank you so much for being here on our live stream, Branny, and telling us a bit about your role as a field services officer. It's been fantastic learning a bit about what you do. And for those of you at home who do want to help look after our wildlife and our little penguins, keep tuning into the live streams, and remember that you can come and visit us. If you come here and buy a ticket to see the penguins or any of our other sites, you might see Branny out at the koalas carrying around the browse, getting weed on. Come and visit us, and if you can't do that just yet, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation, helping look after our wildlife. And like Branny said, if you want to help protect our native environments and you want to make his job a bit easier, you can help by managing the weeds in your own backyard, removing anything that might be a weed, and planting natives, encouraging wildlife into your yard, and providing habitat for this beautiful wildlife. Now, we will continue our guest series on the following week, which we're very excited about. You're going to be watching the next few nights, Branny?
Oh, for sure. We've got some absolute ripper people coming up.
We
It's going to be super
do.
exciting.
I know I'm excited about it. So tomorrow night I'm going to be on with our seal biologist, Rebecca McIntosh, which I'm very excited about to learn a little bit more about our resident Australian fur seals. So tune in again tomorrow night. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time tonight, Branny. And would you like to finish with our signature huck off?
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah? Okay. Go for it. Bye, Brandy.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.